Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar. My name's Bradley Birch, I'm the sales manager at Malisoft, and I'm also joined by Yavuz, who's our SAP department head. The topic of this webinar, we're going to discuss e-invoicing in Germany, upcoming changes, and how to basically leverage them for your business. So, on the agenda, we're going to do a Malisoft company introduction. We provide information about our company, where we're located. We're then going to do a broad discussion on e-invoicing, what the definitions of e-invoicing is, certain e-invoicing models, and then we're going to move on to e-invoicing in Germany, and we're going to highlight the implementation timeline and possible impacts on businesses in Germany in January 2025. The next step, we're going to discuss Malisoft's e-invoice solutions. We're going to have, I would say, e-invoice solutions, not necessarily relevant for Germany, but we offer a wide range of e-invoice solutions. And then the final point, we're going to discuss our Germany e-invoice solution. And then finally, we're going to have questions and discussions. Obviously, it's a live webinar, so feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar, and we'll do our best at the end to answer them. So, who is Malisoft? Who are we? We were established in 2013, and we're headquartered in Frankfurt, Germany, and we have offices in different locations and countries. Our vision statement is empowering businesses through seamless ERP solutions and cutting-edge e-compliance innovations, redefining excellence in digital transformation. At Malisoft, our mission is to revolutionize the business landscape by delivering unparalleled SAP ERP consulting and e-compliance solution. We strive to enhance operational efficiency, promote sustainable growth, and ensure regulatory compliance for our customers. So at Malisoft, we're actually an SAP Silver partner. We have operations in 30 plus countries. We are also ISO certified from a security perspective. We're also a Peppol access point. We're a service provider certified by Peppol and COSIT in Germany. We have 5 offices, and we also have local partners and consultants and over 100 multinational customers. There are 3 aspects to our business. We have SAP project management, we have SAP support services, and we also have e-compliance products. Obviously, today we're discussing e-invoice, but we also offer e-transport, VAT reporting, SAFT, e-leisure. So yeah, a lot of e-compliant products we offer at Malisoft. And here's also a nice map that can show you the locations of our products and services. So as you can see, we're operating in Europe, also Central Asia. So Malisoft is a company. We have 4 departments. We have a research and business development department, which is the department that I'm in. We have the software development department, an SAP department, and most recently, we've got a Peppol services department. Because we're a service provider, we need a dedicated team that's associated with Peppol and specifically the German regulations. Also, here's our website. If anything's unclear, feel free to view our website at malisoft.com, and you can find everything that we're talking about on our website. So, e-invoicing. Yavuz, what is the definition of e-invoicing? What is the sort of e-invoice formats that we offer, and what sort of models are there across Europe?
Thank you, Bradley. Hello, everyone. Welcome you all. In this part, we will talk about, as Bradley asked, the definition of e-invoicing, some e-invoicing formats and models that are currently used in different countries in the world. As you know, an electronic invoice is an invoice that is issued, transmitted, and received in electronic format. The content and the information is similar to traditional invoice, but the main difference is the transmission, submission are all done in electronic format. Also, the format enables the invoice to be processed automatically and electronically. So the e-invoices have a machine-readable format. So the invoice can be processed by the SAP, by the ERP applications or other third-party applications, so that it becomes much more efficient compared to traditional invoicing models. Because of these, most of the countries in the world started to implement e-invoicing systems and modify their traditional systems to the e-invoicing systems. For these invoicing system, different applications, different formats are available. In general, different types of data are used for e-invoicing. First of all, the main format is the structured data formats, such as EDI or XML formats. These are the main formats that are used for e-invoicing process. In addition to these structured data formats, some unstructured data formats can also be employed, such as PDF, JPG, Word documents, or email text, etc. And also we have hybrid formats, which is a combination of the unstructured format and structured data formats, so that the hybrid data formats includes both machine-readable format and also human-readable part. For instance, Zugwert or Factor X that are used in Europe are some examples of hybrid data formats, which has two main components: a PDF file, which can be human-readable, and also an XML file, which can be machine readable. So these formats are also very used currently especially in Germany. For transmission and reception channels, different transmission and reception channels are used for e-invoicing. Depending on the implementation, depending on the country, different channels are used. Web services, PayPal networks, emails, computer fax servers, and also web download options or some other options can also be used for submission of electronic invoice. So depending on the implementation, depending on the country, different transmission and reception channels are employed. If you come to the formats, different e-invoicing formats can be used so that this is a choice, and the most commonly used format is the XML format, which corresponds to the Excel extensible markup language. This is a flexible text format for creating structured documents and for data interchange. So XML format is the most used format in the world because of it can be customizable based on the needs of the tax authorities, so that it is used globally for various data exchange models because of the high level of customization that is provided by the XML data structure. In addition to XML, the EDIFACT format is also used, especially for EDI settings. This EDIFACT format is widely used in Europe, especially for business-to-business transactions. EDIFACT format is especially suitable for large-scale data exchange because of its robust structure. We also have Zugwert format. This is a hybrid format actually that combines a PDF file with an embedded XML data. It is compliant with the European Union legislation, standardizations. This is especially popular in Germany and France. Currently, the Zugwert format is in use for business-to-government implementation in Germany. It is efficient because it has a PDF file together with an embedded XML data, so that it is both machine readable and human readable. Because of this fact, it is very prevalent in Germany. We also have EN 16931. This is the European standard for electronic invoicing. It ensures interoperability between different systems. So most of the European countries manage their systems, shape their systems according to this standard. So it is especially mandatory for B2G invoicing in most European countries. We also have X-Rechnung format. This is a German specification for electronic invoices. It is based on the European Union standards, and also it is mandatory for federal B2G invoicing in Germany currently. And this Zugwert and X-Rechnung formats will also be used in business-to-business invoicing in Germany in the future implementation. We also have, finally, PEPAL-based structure. This is a standard for electronic invoicing within PEPAL network based on the Universal Business Language UBL model. So the PEPAL-based standard is also based on the European Union EN 16931 standard. So it is used across Europe, Austria, and also Singapore for business-to-business and business-to-government e-invoicing implementations. These formats are critical because in Germany, during the transition phase, different formats can be implemented. So in order to understand these formats, we give a brief explanation regarding each format. If we come to the e-invoicing models, Of course, there are very different models that are currently in use in the world. However, in general, we can categorize the e-invoicing models in three main categories. The first category is the post-audit models. In post-audit models, invoices to be issued, it allows invoices to be issued and received without prior validation by the tax authorities. So a prior validation is not required from the tax authorities. However, with audits conducted after the fact, to ensure compliance and accuracy. So the audits are done, reporting is done after the transactions are completed between the supplier and the buyer. On the other hand, we have the continuous transaction control models. These models are become more prevalent in the world. In these models, the transaction data is reported to the tax authority in real time or near real time, so that the compliance verification is done at the same time issuing the invoice. These CTC models are also very prevalent in European applications and also in the world. Finally, we have the hybrid models. The hybrid models actually combines post-audit and CTC models. They allow flexible invoicing processes where some transactions are subject to real-time controls, while some others undergo post-transaction audits. So it's a combination of post-audit and CTC models. In this slide, you can see the common e-invoicing models used in the world. These are namely clearance model, centralized model, interoperability model, or four-corner model, or PEPPOL model. There are different names for these. Also, we have PEPPOL CTC model, and finally, we have real-time reporting model. Now, let's go over these models briefly. First of all, we have the clearance model. As you see in this slide, the invoices must be validated by the tax authorities before being sent to the recipient. So the invoices are created by the supplier and submitted to the tax authorities. After verification of the tax authorities, then the invoices can be sent to the buyer, invoice recipient. In this system, the real-time validation process takes in place. In general, unique identifiers, the unique codes or QR codes can be embedded to the created and validated invoices. This model reduces need for retroactive audits, so the verification is done in real time. Mexico, Chile, Saudi Arabia, and Israel are some examples for countries that implement this clearance model. Similar to clearance model, we have a centralized model. In this case, we still have a tax authority for verification. In this model, invoices are sent in real time to the national platform, which validates and also forwards the invoices to the buyer after verification. So the supplier creates the invoice and submits to the tax authority. Tax authority checks the invoice. Once it is validated, then it is forwarded to the buyer. So in this model, centralized national platforms are used and real-time processing and validation are taking place. For instance, Italy, Romania, and Poland are among the countries that are implementing centralized e-invoicing models. If we come to the interoperability model, which is named as four-corner model or PEPPOL model, in this model, all information is sent in real time through the electronic invoice exchange providers known as access points. So we have two access points, one for supplier, one for buyer. So once the invoice is created by the supplier, it is submitted to the access point, supplier access point, and supplier access point forwards the invoice to the buyer access point, and then the supplier can reach the invoice over the buyer's access point. So this is named as the four-corner model. PEPPOL network is an example of this model, four-corner model. Also, the countries such as Belgium, Austria, and Singapore are some examples that uses the PEPPOL network for their e-invoicing implementation. As Melasoft, we are also a certified PEPPOL access point, so we can be the service provider for our clients for accessing the PEPPOL network or for getting the invoices from the PEPPOL network. As an extension of the PEPPOL model, we also have PEPPOL CTC model. In this PEPPOL CTC model, we also have the tax authority as a verification channel. Invoices are exchanged through the access points and also sent to the tax authority in real time. So once the invoice is created by the supplier and submitted to the access point forwards the invoice to the buyer's access point. On the other hand, the service provider also forwards the invoice to the tax authority. So once the invoice is validated by the tax authority, then the invoice becomes validated and the buyer can check the tax authority for this validation. The government platform serves as the fifth corner in this model. So this model is usually named as five-corner model. It's a hybrid model that combines the elements of existing CTC models with PEPOS infrastructure. For instance, France plans to use this PEPOS CTC model in their e-invoicing implementation. Finally, we have real-time reporting model. In this real-time reporting model, we also have the tax authority in the model, in the architecture. In this case, the invoices are reported to the tax authority in real time, but not validated or forwarded. So the tax authority, once the invoices are created by the supplier and they are sent to the buyer, at the same time, they are sent to the tax authority. So the reporting is done in real time. However, a validation is not required in real time by the tax authority, or it is not necessary for sending the invoice to the buyer. It is just for reporting purposes. So this is a real-time reporting system. It is also used in some European countries such as Hungary and Spain. Currently uses this real-time reporting model.
Thank you, Yavuz. Thank you. In this next part, we're going to do e-invoicing in Germany. So we're going to highlight the implementation timeline, the impacts on businesses in Germany, and sort of some important decisions that you have to make. The first slide, we're going to just look at briefly the status in Europe. As you can see on the table, Italy, Turkey, Serbia, and Albania are currently active. Romania currently rolling out this year. Also, Germany, Spain, Croatia, Denmark, and Slovakia. So this is happening in the next 2 years. The process has already started this year, and we're moving on to next year. And yeah, as you can see by the Microsoft solution status, you can see certain projects are completed from our side, and obviously the countries that are moving to e-invoicing in progress at Microsoft and completing or working with customers on these projects. So to Germany, obviously B2G e-invoicing is already mandatory. So Yavuz, could you just explain to everyone what B2G e-invoicing is in Germany?
Yes, Germany has already implemented B2G invoicing. It became mandatory since 2020. In Germany, two primary access points are available for B2G invoicing. These platforms are ZRE and OZGRE platforms. These are the government platforms for submitting the invoices that are to be sent to the public government authorities. Different channels are available for submission of the invoice to the government platforms. The manual data entry is possible, so the companies can manually enter the portal and create the invoice over the portal, or email option is also available, so the companies can send emails together with the invoices to the government portal. Manual upload is also possible, so the created documents can be uploaded to the portal. Also, PEPOL network can be used for reaching the government platforms. In Germany, these two platforms are also certified access points for PEPOL network. So once the sender, the supplier, is also a member of PEPOL network, then over this network, the invoices can be sent to the government authorities. In this system, actually, the European Union EN 16931 standard is used as the main standardization. And two official formats are available in the system, which are the Zugwert format and Ex-Rechnung format. These two formats are compatible with this European Union standard. As we told in the previous slides, Zugwert is a hybrid format which has two components, an XML part and a PDF part. On the other hand, Ex-Rechnung is an XML invoicing system standard. So both of these standards can be used for submission of the invoices to the B2G platform. In Germany, each state has autonomy to use the government platforms. So in each state, a different application can be in use. However, the general structure is similar. So the state has the autonomy for adopting alternative systems or implementing any system at all. In this slide, a general flow for the B2G invoicing can be seen. First of all, the issuance and validation process takes place. If you are a company that are using an ERP solution, the invoice data should be extracted from the ERP system and it should be transformed into the allowable formats, Ex-Rechnung or Zugwert format. And once the invoice is created, then the invoices should be submitted to the government platforms, that's ZRE and OZGRE platforms, via manual upload, email, or PEPOL network. So after sending process, the archiving the documents is required by the German legislation. So the invoices should be kept for 10 years according to this legislation.
And obviously, that's B2G, and obviously Germany in the next year are going to go to B2B. So Yavuz, like, what sort of companies are going to be in Stoke? What sort of model is going to be used? What are the sort of mechanisms behind that? And what e-invoice formats are there available in Germany?
Yes, the implementation in Germany is a bit different from the other European companies. Actually, it is a more complicated model, and we have a transition phase during this model. We will talk about the details. First of all, which companies are in scope? According to Economic Growth Act that is approved in March 2024, e-invoicing will become mandatory for B2B companies that are German established businesses or fixed establishments or foreign companies. So this B2B mandate will cover the German established businesses and fixed establishments of foreign companies, and domestic transactions will be in scope of B2B invoicing mandate. So the cross-border transactions will not be in scope, at least in the current implementation. If you come to the model, as we discussed in the previous slides, post-audit model actually will be used. In this model, as you might remember, businesses handle the creation, transmission, receipt, storage, and reporting of invoices independently without the direct participation of tax authorities. In Germany, tax authorities will not be directly involved in this process, but they will validate the companies by making audits audits, so they are not directly involved in the process in real time. If you come to the transmission mechanism, different methods can be used for sending invoices to the recipients, such as PayPal network, email, or any other agreed method between the supplier and the buyer. There will be a transition phase. So during this transition phase, the companies will be able to align their systems according to requirements of the business-to-business e-invoicing requirements. If you come to the formats, various formats can be used in Germany, especially the main formats, the Zugwert PDF with XML data layer and X-Rechnung pure XML formats, or traditional EDI formats will be the main formats. Also, PEPOL-BIS formats will be the main formats that will be used in Germany. However, as we will see in the next slides, during the transition phase, some other formats will be allowed, but after 2028, these formats will be the main formats that will be used for business-to-business transactions. In this slide, you can see a basic workflow for B2B implementation in Germany. First of all, the first stage is the issuance and internal validation of the invoice. The companies will extract the data from their ERP systems, and then after extraction of the relevant data, then this data will be transformed into one of the allowable formats. These allowable formats can be X-Rechnung, Zugwert, or any other format that is compatible with the EN 16931 format. So this is the main requirement. Also, EDI invoices will be valid for 3 years during the transition phase. However, after the transition phase, the EDI format should also satisfy the European Union standardization. After this internal validation, then the invoices will be prepared and sent to the invoice recipient. The sending can be done in different channels according to agreed communication mechanism between the supplier and the buyer. The mail option, email option can be used, PayPal network can be used, or any other mechanism can be used during the transition phase. However, PayPal network can be used as the main transmission channel because it allows a secure means of transition for sending and receiving side. It also satisfies the European Union standard formats. So, however, during the transition phase, different transmission channels can be available. We will talk about this in the next slides. Also, the archiving requirement is also valid for business-to-business transactions, so the invoices should be kept archived for 10 years.
And, what is the main thing that businesses need to know regarding timeline, regarding what are the implementation stages, Yavuz? What's important for them to know?
Thanks, Brad. Implementation will be done in stages in Germany. Starting from 1st of January 2025, actually, all companies that are in scope must be able to receive e-invoices. So receiving e-invoices, as long as the supplier sends the invoice in the e-invoice format, then all companies should accept the incoming e-invoices. So this is the main requirement that will start in the next year, January 1st, 2025. In this initial phase, which formats are allowed? First of all, paper formats will still be used. Together with European Union formats, Ex-Rechnung, Zugwert, or PEPOL-BIS formats will also be acceptable. And also some other formats such as XML, EDIFACT, EDI formats will also be acceptable during this initial transition phase. However, the critical point is that if your supplier sends the invoice in European Union standards, then you have to receive this invoice. So the incoming invoices, the XML invoices should be recognized by your system. So should be adjusted according to European Union standardizations at the very beginning phases of this transition phase. In January 1st, 2027, this time B2B invoicing become mandatory for sending and receiving. However, we have a turnover condition here. The companies that have annual turnover more than 800,000 euro, if your turnover rate is greater than this much, then starting from 1st of January 2027, sending and receiving e-invoicing will become mandatory for the corresponding companies. Which formats will be allowed during this phase? Paper invoices will still be accepted under special conditions. We will talk about these conditions. Also, European Union standards and the compatible standards, Ex-Rechnung, Zugwert, and PEPOL-BIS standards will also be acceptable. And some other formats such as XML, EDIFACT, under some special conditions. We will also talk about the special conditions in the following slides. Finally, in the third phase, in January 1st, 2028, all companies will be in scope. So the companies that have annual turnover less than 800K will be also in scope. Starting from this date, the European Union standard will be the main format. Other formats will still be acceptable as long as they are compatible with these European Union standard formats. So starting from this date, actually, the invoicing system will be completed and all invoices transmitted between the supplier and the buyer should satisfy EN 16931 standards. So they should be in Ex-Rechnung, Zugwert, or PEPOL-BIS standardizations or other standards that satisfy the standardization. So according to this, during the transition phase, in the first transition phase, which starts in 1st of January 2025, as we said, all companies should adjust their systems for receiving the incoming invoices. So if your supplier sends an invoice in European Union standard, it will be allowed to send starting from this date. So the receiver should accept this. So as long as your supplier sends the invoice in the European Union standard, PEPOL-BIS, Zugwert, or any other supported format, then the receiver must accept these incoming invoices. So the receiver should adjust their systems for receiving these invoices starting from 1st of January 2025. On the other hand, paper invoices will still be allowed. Unstructured formats such as PDF or other EDI formats will still be allowed. However, in this case, receiver's consent is required. So if you are sending an unstructured document or EDI format, you have to get your receiver's consent for sending in these formats. However, for the first one, for European Union standard, this consent is not required. You can send without any consent if you are producing the invoices according to EN standards.
And just go back one slide, Yavuz. The main point to consider here is, you must be able to receive an electronic e-invoice. I know a lot of companies will still use paper or PDFs via email, but because there's multiple options in Germany, you don't want to be caught out by one of your customers, for example, sending you an invoice, an XML invoice, and you're not able to receive it. Technically, you must be able to accept it. So this point is really key for German businesses.
Yes, you are right, Bradley. This is the critical point because you should accept the incoming invoices if they are in the standard European Union format. So the system should be adjusted starting from this date for receiving this type of invoices.
Yeah.
Continue with the second phase in 2027, 1st of January 2027. Starting from this date, as you might remember, we have a turnover condition. If your company has a turnover rate greater than 800K, then the invoices should be sent in European Union standard or a compatible format. So this will become a mandatory option. So the invoices should be sent according to the European Union standards starting from this date for large companies. Paper invoices will not be allowed, unstructured formats will not be allowed, other EDI formats will be allowed, but for this one, the receiver consent will be required. Also, for smaller companies in 2028-27, they can send the invoices in electronic European Union standard, or they can send paper, unstructured format, or other EDI formats. However, this time they have to get the receiver's consent in 2027. If we come to the 1st of January 2028, this time all of the companies in Germany are under the e-invoice mandate. So all of the companies should adjust their systems for sending and receiving invoices in EN 16931 standard format. So Ex-Rechnung, Zugwert, PEPOL-Bis, these are the standardized formats. So all of the companies should adjust their systems for sending and receiving the invoices in these main formats. Starting from this date, paper invoices will not be allowed, unstructured formats will not be allowed, other EDI formats that are not compatible with the European Union standards will not be allowed after this date. So this is this is the main date in which the invoicing implementation become mandatory with all aspects of the system.
And Yavuz, like, how will this mandate from the German government affect businesses? This is also one of the key points. You know, businesses are going to have to change. You know, what is the main impact on businesses in Germany?
Yes, as we briefly introduced in the previous slides, first of all, the format will be changed. So during the transition phase, different formats will be able to use, but in general, the standard for the electronic invoices will be shifted to EN 16931 standards, Ex-Rechnung, PEPOL-Bis, or Zugwert. So these formats will be the main formats that will be supported in Germany e-invoicing system. On the other hand, from the implementation deadline perspective, starting from 1st of January 2025, as we said, all companies must be ready to receive EN standard invoices. This is also a critical impact on the businesses. So the businesses should configure their systems for receiving EN standard invoices. During the transition phase, as we shown in the previous slides, paper invoices will be phased out. So issuing paper invoices will be prohibited after the transition period, with key milestones for larger companies, January 2027, for smaller companies, January 2028. So starting from these days, paper invoices will not be able to be used. During the transition period, actually, the companies may have some flexibility. During the transition phase, businesses can exchange invoices based on the agreements, bilateral agreements with the supplier and the buyer. So if they adhere to the general timelines, they can use different formats during this transition period. However, if the supplier wants to send EN standard format, then you have to accept these invoices even in the transition period. Finally, we have the supplier autonomy. The suppliers no longer need buyer consent to send e-invoices if they comply with the European Union standard. So in this respect, the buyer consent is not searched. So if your supplier sends in European Union standard format, then you have to accept it according to current mandate. In addition to these points, there are some additional points that the companies should consider. The system provides some flexibility because the long transition period requires systems and access points processes to be adaptable to handle various formats. So the companies should have this flexibility. They have a flexible system that can accept different formats and that can process these different formats invoices. Also, from the compliance requirement perspective, EDI and point-to-point connections will still be permitted during the transition phase. However, during the end of the transition phase, these formats should be compatible with the EN standardizations. From the email invoicing continuity, invoices currently sent via email as PDFs file. So Zugwert invoices has a PDF and XML files together. It is embedded, XML file is embedded in the PDF file. So these Zugwert formats it is compliant with the EN standard. So using the Zugwert format, the email invoicing can be used. Cross-border invoicing will not be affected by the current mandate because it is not in scope. However, if your company has this flexibility, you will be able to send invoices to the cross-border invoicing as well. For the B2G invoicing, currently it is implemented in Germany, so it will remain unchanged. Finally, for tax reporting, while tax reporting remains the same for now, according to our perspective, the VIDA initiative will address it around 2030. So starting from these days, probably the VIDA initiative will also be implemented in Germany for tax reporting. However, during the transition phase, the tax reporting will remain the same. There will be no change for tax reporting during the transition.
Thank you, Yavuz. The next few slides, we've got around 10 to 12 slides remaining. So if you have any questions, please get them in now. In this section, we're going to discuss our own solutions, what alternatives we offer as a company, our sort of implementation structure that we do at Melisoft, and then we're going to go into detail regarding our solution specifically for Germany. So, Yavuz, what alternatives do we have at Melisoft?
In general, as Melisoft, we have three alternatives. We implemented each of these alternatives in different countries for different companies. Our main solution is an SAP add-on solution, so it is compatible with SAP ERP system. It is an add-on for SAP system. In addition to this solution, we have a Melisoft platform solution. This platform solution can compatible with all ERP systems. Also, we have a centralized e-compliance solution. Especially this solution can be implemented for companies, multinational companies that have operations in different countries. So using this centralized e-compliance solution, the companies can satisfy the requirements for invoicing in different companies in different countries at the same time. So the centralized solution can be used as a main solution, as a single solution for submission of invoicing to different countries, tax authorities and recipients. So in this part, I will briefly explain our solution alternatives for SAP add-on solution, for portal solution, platform solution, and also I will introduce our PEPPOL solution as well. First, let's start with the SAP add-on solution. As I said, SAP add-on solution works inside the SAP environment. Once the invoices are created in the SAP system, the relevant information is extracted from the relevant SAP modules and tables, and the XML file or the e-document is created within the SAP environment. So after creation of the invoice, it will automatically be created once the invoices are created in the SAP system in SD, FI, or MM modules, and the user can see the created invoices over the Melisoft outbound cockpit. So all of the information, monitoring, reporting, and all processes can be monitored over the Melisoft outbound cockpit. Also, our Melisoft SAP add-on solution has the archiving option as well. So if required, the created and incoming invoices can be archived in SAP servers or some other servers on different platforms. Once the invoices are created in the SAP system, then the invoices can be sent to the tax authorities or the recipients using our integration module. For integration, we have different options. If you are, for instance, for SAP system, if you are using a CPI, PI, PO system for integration, SAP integration suite, then we can communicate over this suite with the government authorities. We can use public administration hub. We can communicate over the integrator platforms, because in some countries, these integrator companies are used for sending and receiving invoices. Also, we can communicate over the value-added networks such as FTPS, HTTPS, or web services can also be used. Also, as Melisoft, we are a PEPPOL access point, so the created invoices can be shared with the invoice recipient over the PEPPOL network as well. Or as in Germany, in current implementation, email option can also be used for submission of the invoices to the tax authorities or recipients. In our solution, if the tax authority is in the system, is a component in the system, upon validation, you can track the status of the invoices directly in the SAP environment. So all of the process can be managed by Melisoft SAP add-on solution. You can see the status of the invoice, whether it is validated or not, whether it is accepted or rejected by the recipient. All of this status information is available in our cockpit. So whole process can be managed by using the SAP add-on for the AR.
And also, Yavuz, for example, in Germany, the tax authority, it's decentralized in Germany, so it wouldn't necessarily go to the tax authority. It would come to a COSIT PEPPOL service provider, and then the invoice is then sent to the recipient. That is correct, isn't it, Yavuz?
Yes, you are correct, Bradley. For the AP side, account payable workflow, this time we are in the recipient side. So the incoming invoices can be received by the tax authorities or by the seller, by the supplier, by using the communication channel agreed by the seller. So in this case, if the tax authority is in use in the architecture, then we have some periodic jobs that continues to check the government portal whether or not some new invoices are available. If they are available, then they are pulled to the Melasoft incoming cockpit. If they are sent directly from the seller using the email option or PayPal network or any other network, then we also get these invoices to the Melasoft SAP add-on. So using the same solution, the recipient can see all incoming invoices directly in the cockpit. Also in the cockpit, the user can see the invoices in different formats. For instance, you can see the XML format, you can see the PDF version of the invoice, so the human readable format is available in our solution. For the incoming side, if required, we also have the automatic booking option. So the incoming invoices can be directly submitted to the SAP system by using our semi-automatic posting option. So the relevant information is extracted from the XML file, and then this information will become available for the invoice booking screens in SAP. Additionally, if the recipient company uses some invoice management solutions, such as vendor invoice management solution, DMS document management system solution, or any other third-party application, also our solution is able to forward the incoming invoices to these solutions in the required formats. For instance, the invoices can be sent to these solutions in XML format, in PDF format, or any other agreed format. So this is also within the capabilities of our SAP add-on solution. In addition to our SAP solution, we also have a Melasoft platform solution. This platform solution, actually, the process is very similar, but the only difference is the invoices are created in our web-based Melasoft portal solution. So we extract the relevant information from the ERP system. The data file is extracted in different formats, including EDI format. And also, once the data file is extracted from the ERP system, then the XML, according to XML mapping, the standard documents will be created over the Melasoft portal, and then, similar to SAP case, they will be submitted to the tax authorities or they will be sent to the recipients by using our integration module. So in this case, all of the process can be managed over the Melasoft platform. So you can see the status of the invoices in the government platform, or whether they are accepted or rejected by the recipient. All this information will become available over the cockpit users. For the incoming side, it is again similar. The incoming invoices will be pulled from the government portal, or they will be taken from the seller over the PayPal network or email option or the agreed platform. And once this information is accepted, then they will become available in the inbound cockpit in the Melasoft platform. Also, the incoming documents will also be submitted to the ERP system in the data file format agreed. So the process will be ended for the AP workflow. We also have PayPal network integration module. As we said, Melasoft is a PayPal certified access point. So once your receiver is also a PayPal access point, gets PayPal ID, then we can send the invoices to your invoice receiver over the PayPal network. In this case, the created invoices are submitted to the Melasoft access point, and the documents are created according to PayPal BIS standard or Extrahunk, and then they will be sent to the receiver access point over the PayPal network. So for getting this information, the central registry for the addressing is used. So the receiver should be registered to the PayPal network. They should have a PayPal ID in order to be able to get invoices over the PayPal network. So if your supplier is sending you invoices over the PayPal network, then the receiver should have the PayPal ID and registered in the PayPal system to be able to get invoices over the PayPal network. This is the critical point for Germany, because PayPal network will be one of the main transmission channels that will be used for invoice transmission in Germany. Finally, we have the centralized e-compliance solution. Actually, it is the platform solution. So depending on the company code, the corresponding cockpit will be available for the end user. So the invoices will be created according to standardizations of the corresponding country. So if the country is located in Germany, then the invoices will be created according to Germany e-invoice mandate. If it is in Romania, then the invoices will be created according to Romanian e-invoicing UBL standard. So once the invoices are created in the Melasoft platform, then they will be submitted to the corresponding tax authority directly from our platform and also invoice recipient. So using a single platform, especially the multinational companies that have operations in different countries, will be able to use a single solution for submitting and receiving invoices to their recipients and the tax authorities.
So obviously, all of these architectures, they're all different. Every company or every country would have different, architectures. It depends on the country, to be honest. They have to meet certain standards, but Germany is taking a bit of a different approach. But like, what is Microsoft's implementation? What are the steps that we normally take when implementing an e-invoice project?
Of course, implementation, as Bradley introduced, depends on the country significantly, because in each country a different invoicing model is in use. Different invoicing formats can also be used, employed in different countries. However, the general implementation stages is more or less similar. In general, at first we have the project planning stage. During this stage, we define the project scope and objectives together with our clients. We develop project timeline and some milestone activities. Especially in determining these milestone activities, we consider the mandatory dates. So before these dates, the invoicing solution should be ready to satisfy the mandate requirements. Also, during this project planning phase, the project teams are formed, the roles are determined and assigned, and at the end of this phase, we conduct a kickoff meeting for aligning all stakeholders for discussing the project plan and other details related with project management. After the project planning stage, after the project kickoff, we start the functional and technical analysis session. In this stage, we define functional and non-functional requirements of the businesses, because each company may have different operations, different invoice types, and different processes regarding invoicing process. So our solution actually is ready for each country that are implementing e-invoicing system. However, it should be customized for specific company requirements. So for this customization, we conduct this functional and technical analysis, and as a result of this session, we determine all requirements, all functional and technical requirements of the companies in which we are going to implement our e-invoicing solution. Once this stage is completed, then we start development and customizations. Our solution is customized based on the requirements of the companies, invoice types, and other specific issues. During this phase, after the developments and customizations are completed, then Microsoft team perform unit testing and debugging in order to test the solution. Once the solution is ready, then we go to the next session, which is training and testing stage. Before testing to be started, we provide the necessary trainings. We provide the training materials together with the training schedules. And then after the training sessions are conducted, we require user acceptance tests to be conducted. Under different scenarios, the user conducts the user acceptance tests. Once all of the test issues are resolved and closed, then the system is ready for deployment stage. During the deployment stage, we develop a deployment plan and a checklist. We perform the pre-deployment testing to ensure system readiness, and also after completing all deployment activities, then the system will be ready for go live session. During the go live session, we have a hypercare period. So during this period, the occurring problems or face problems are solved immediately, and our support team works in close coordination with the end users to solve the problems in real time. Finally, after the go live session, we have the post go live period. During this period, actually, we have a support system. So this support system is used for the problems faced. So once the user faces a problem, then they open a support ticket in Microsoft support system, and according to the service level agreement, these support issues are handled and solved by Microsoft team. In addition to support, we also have a post-go-live maintenance support as well. During this phase, our compliance team, Microsoft compliance team, continuously monitor the changes in the government systems. We monitor the updates that are published in the tax authorities. So whenever a change occurs in the system, we update our solution according to this change. And also we inform our users, our clients in this country about these changes. If some updates should be done in our solution, after approval by our client, then we make the necessary changes in our solution in the client system as well. So these updates are also in our maintenance and support agreement. In general, the implementation stage, we cannot specify a certain time for this stage. However, in general, it takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the implementation, excluding the waiting times and other bureaucratic issues. It takes to 4 to 6 weeks, but as I said, it depends on the specific needs of the companies, implementation requirements of the governments. So the project plan may change according to the implementation and company specific issues.
And this is the final 4 slides, and then we move on to questions. So if you do have questions, get them in now, and we can answer them at the end. The last 4 slides are going to be our solution specifically for Germany. So yeah, please feel free to ask questions, and we're nearly at the end. Thank you.
Yes, in this part, we will talk about Melasoft e-invoice solution specifically for Germany. Actually, Melasoft offers a fully compliant e-invoice solution for inbound and outbound flows in Germany for B2G and B2B mandates. So for B2G invoicing, Melasoft solution connects to the ZRE and OZGRE platforms via the PEPPOL network for delivering invoices on behalf of our customers and receiving the invoices as well, but for B2G for sending purposes. So the government platforms are also PEPPOL members. So Melasoft is a PEPPOL access point. So the invoices can be submitted to the government authorities over the PEPPOL network. For the B2B invoicing, on the other hand, our solution offers different e-invoice capabilities, including the EDI formats as well as formats according to the European Union standards, such as Zugwert, Ex-Rechnung, and PEPPOL BIS standards. So our solution is compatible with these standards, and the invoices can be created in each of these formats that are acceptable in Germany. For accounts receivable part, we receive the invoice data from the sender in the agreed format, and this format is converted to the data converted into e-document format. We produce EN compliant formats, as I said, Zugwert, Ex-Rechnung, and PEPPOL BIS formats, and then we deliver invoices to the recipients using the interoperability network, PEPPOL network, or other methods such as email option. So our solution is also capable for different transmission channels as well. Finally, if required, we have the archiving option as well. So the incoming or outgoing invoices can be archived in Melasoft servers that are located in Germany or on the servers of the client. For instance, if SAP system is used, then the invoices can be archived on SAP servers or any other servers of the clients that are on cloud. For the accounts payable side, in this case, we are in the recipient side, so we receive the invoices data from the senders via interoperability network, PEPPOL network, email, or other methods. So once an invoice comes to over PEPPOL network, for instance, we get this invoice and we submit this invoice to the receiver system. Or if it comes through the email option, then we got the email and we get the e-document from this email, and also we convert this document to data file and send to the customer ERP system. For incoming side, as I said, we also have the archiving option for the incoming side as well. To sum up, what are the main benefits of Melasoft solution? Can be used as a single solution for sending and receiving invoices in different countries. So if you are a multinational company, a single solution can be used for sending and receiving invoices in different countries. The invoices can be created according to the specifications of different countries in Melasoft solution. Our solution, as I said, support all alternative formats. So the invoices can be created in Ex-Rechnung, Zugwert format, PEPPOL BIS format, UBL format, or other European Union standardized formats can also be created in Melasoft solution. In our solution, we do not modify existing processes of the client, so we mapping according to the client system, so we do not modify existing processes. We have the PEPPOL network connectivity option, so you can not only send invoices within the country by using the PEPPOL network, you can also send invoices to the other companies in other countries as well. So PEPPOL network will become much more efficient, probably in European Union countries in the future. Finally, we have a support and maintenance system. So according to this support and maintenance agreement, we continuously monitor the changes, legislational changes, and also the updates in the government system. Once a new update is done on the system, we update our solution accordingly. So our Melasoft solution will also compatible with the latest updates of the government. And also we update our customers about the updates. If after accepted and approved, then we update our solution in the client system as well.
Thanks, Yavuz. Thanks, Yavuz. So yeah, we'll just wait a few seconds for more questions to come in. We already have a few already, so I'll just wait a few more moments for other people to get their questions in. Okay, we've got a few. I'll start with this one. Do you use OCR technology in your SAP integration suite? During the phase until 2028, we will receive PDF files also. Can I use your program instead of SAP Vendor Invoice Management by OpenText? The answer to that is yes, we do offer our own OCR technology. However, a lot of companies use vendor invoice management as well. So actually our SAP add-on, our solutions actually integrate with vendor invoice management. So we can actually park the invoices in vendor invoice management. Do you want to add anything more to that, Yavuz?
Yes, let me add a few points. First of all, if the incoming invoices are in PDF format, we can parse the PDF document by using OCR tools, and we extract the relevant information that should be booked in the SAP environment. So this is possible in our solution. Additionally, if it's an XML document, so it is in the XML format, then we extract the relevant information from the XML document, and we have a automatic booking capability in our solution. So the incoming invoices can be automatically booked to the SAP system. The relevant information will be extracted from the XML document. There may be some missing information such as purchase order number. So this number can be updated manually. Also, we have this capability in our solution. So using our solution, automatic booking solution, the incoming invoices can be booked in the SAP system as well.
Thanks, Yavuz. There was also a second point of this question. Does Microsoft offer support in the German language, in which SLA levels? I'm not sure what the last part means, but because obviously we do projects in Romania, Poland, Serbia, Denmark, multiple countries, we are matching the language. If the customer is predominantly speaking their own native language, then of course we offer this support as well. Another question, how does the hybrid model, for example, Zugpferd, benefit businesses in Germany?
Yes, during the presentation, actually we discussed about this topic. Zugpferd is a hybrid format that has two main components, and PDF files together with an embedded XML file. So this is very advantageous for Germany implementation because PDF is a human readable format and XML is a machine readable format. So once the invoice is sent in the Zugpferd format, the receiver side can read the PDF version, and also they can get the XML version for submitting the invoice to their system because it is machine readable. So as it satisfies both options, it is efficient, and probably it will be used by most of the companies in Germany, especially during the transition phase because of its effectiveness.
Okay, thanks, Yavuz. We got another question. What challenges might businesses face when implementing e-invoicing systems? How can businesses overcome these problems?
Yes, as we discussed in the invoicing in Germany part and also in the solutions part, the main obstacle for the companies in Germany, different formats are allowed during the transition phase. So if the supplier sends an invoice in EN compliant format, then the receiver should accept this. So if it is the Zugpferd format, you have to receive this invoice and you have to get the relevant information from this file. Or if it is in X-Rechnung format, you have to read this file and you have to make the booking in your system. So on the recipient side, the companies should adjust their system for receiving different formats because EM formats will become mandatory starting from 2025. Once your supplier sends the invoice in this format, you have to get these invoices and you have to process these invoices. So this is one of the main obstacles in Germany. Also, there is a transition phase in Germany. So during this transition phase, the companies has some time for preparation of their system for sending invoices. So during this transition phase, the companies should adjust their systems for creating XML documents or X-Rechnung or PEPL-Bs or Zugpferd formats. So they have to adjust their systems during this transition phase for sending the invoices in these different formats. This is also another restriction requirement from the companies in Germany.
Okay, thanks, Yavuz. Okay, multiple questions. I'm going to take 3 more and then we'll wrap up. Okay. How does the German e-invoicing mandate align with the European Union e-invoicing regulations?
Actually, e-invoicing regulation is at the core of the German e-invoicing system because all of the main standards, all of the main formats to be used should be compatible with the European Union directive and European Union standards. So it is at the core of the e-invoicing regulation in Germany. Zugware format is an EN compatible format. Ex-Rechnung format is an EN compatible format. PEPOL-BIS format is an EN compatible format. So the main formats to be used for e-invoicing should be compatible with the EN standardization. So EN European Union regulation is the main regulation that is used for shaping the details for the e-invoicing system in Germany.
Thanks, Yavuz. This one's also an important question, I would say. What role does PEPOL play in German e-invoicing?
Yes, as we discussed in the e-invoicing model, in Germany, post-audit model will be implemented. In this model, the government authorities are not in architecture. They do not directly invoice verification and validation process. So the infrastructure is not provided by the government. For this reason, the companies should use different infrastructure, different transmission channels for sending and receiving invoices. And in this respect, PEPOL is the main architecture that provides secure and standardized invoice exchange and transmission mechanism. So in this respect, PEPOL will play a significant role in Germany because it supports the required formats that are used in Germany. PEPOL-BIS format, Ex-Rechnung formats, these are supported by PEPOL system. So as they support the main requirements of the German legislation, PEPOL system will be used by a main transmission channel for e-invoicing. Additionally, PEPOL system also compatible with B2G invoicing in Germany because the government platforms has access points, PEPOL access points. So in this respect, it is also compatible with B2G invoicing. Because of these two main reasons, PEPOL infrastructure will be probably the main architecture that will be used for invoice exchange in Germany.
Okay, final question, Yavuz. Thank you. Is there any exemptions or considerations for small SMEs, small medium-sized enterprises under e-invoicing mandate by Germany?
Actually, as we discussed in the transition phase, there will be a phase transition in Germany according to company size. The obligations will start, especially for sending part, for the outbound transactions. It will start for smaller companies starting in 2028. So until this date, they will be able to use the PDF documents or some other EDI versions as long as they are agreed with their suppliers and the buyers. So in this respect, SME small companies can still have time for adjusting their outgoing side. However, for the incoming side, if their supplier submits the invoices in the EN compatible formats, EN standardized formats, they have to receive these invoices. So in this respect, they have to adjust their incoming side for reading the incoming documents in different XML formats. So this is the main constraint for the small companies. So they have to make systems ready for the incoming side starting from 2025. However, for outgoing side, they can adjust. They have still time for creating documents according to the European Union standards.
Thank you, Yavuz. And yeah, if we've missed some questions, we'll get back to you. Or if you want to email us directly, you can find our emails at the bottom of this slide. I also just want to discuss one more slide for companies that are not end users. Microsoft, we are offering a partnership model because we understand in Germany that not everyone can be a PEPOL access point, and you will need to pass through a service provider. So we're open to partnerships with other consulting companies or accounting software companies that want to send Ex-Rechnung or e-invoices and they need a Peppol service provider, Microsoft can be the access point for your projects, and we can work together in meeting the mandate by the German government. Obviously, this is a personal discussion, but if anyone wants to reach out to me to discuss this in more detail, my email's at the bottom, bradley.birch@microsoft.com, and I'm open to any sort of conversation about this. Once again, thanks a lot from myself and Yavos for everyone lasting this long. I know that we went over. So yeah, thanks a lot. Have a nice day. And yeah, if you need any questions, just ask me. Thank you.